I'm Paddy from creativemedia.org.uk and I'm back once again with another book review. Rather long delay, I'm sorry, but I just not got around to it and these books have been piling up. Today, as you may have seen in the title, is an animal special. I've got one mouse book and 8 cat books, though these ones are a set of cat books, so there'll be kind of one review really. So it shouldn't be too long. I'm going to start with the mouse book. And I'm sure I'm not the only adult who reads children's books. And some of the children's books I like best are animal books. A lot of books I just find deathly dull if they're about people. But because they're about animals, it somehow adds something to it. Particularly if they're about an animal you're interested in. Not that interested in mice. This first one is actually book 2 of a series called the Deptford Mice. I think that's an area of London, in UK, of course. And sometimes I'll read a sort of middle book in a series, and if I enjoy it, I'll get the other ones. This one I'm not really going to follow. Here we've got this terrified mouse with a mysterious amulet on her front, his or her front, and some kind of claws coming for him or her. There's lots of details in here about all the different mice, the different families of mice, and explains who they all are and stuff. The whole dynasty of mice, which I was a little bit worried about that. There's not actually a glossary. Some books have a glossary explaining all the terms, which thankfully this one doesn't. I'll probably cover some books in future which do have glossaries. Yeah, for an adult reading a children's book, suspension of disbelief is a major thing. For this one, I find it hard to suspend my disbelief. I mean, there are mice here. They have clothes. They have, equipment, things made of metal. They live in a world where there are humans, but they somehow seem to be able to have nothing to do with humans, despite there being, mice all over the place. Presumably all intelligent mice who can talk and, have houses and all kinds of things. So you figure that they must have some kind of, metalworking and mining and sewing and farming and whole, all the things humans can do, but secret from humans, which I just find it really hard to get my head around that. There's a bit of mysterious magic, which isn't really over the top, which I quite liked. Some things, the magic is a bit too excessive and a bit too in your face, but the magic is a little bit hidden in this. The story is our protagonists travel from the city in London, their home there, to hang out with some country mice, and there are dark deeds happening in the country. I would say if you're planning to read this to a child, the dark deeds in the country are quite dark. There are murders and deaths, and it is quite a horror book, really. It goes into a sort of horror genre in a way. I didn't really like it that much. There's kind of murders and horrible monsters and things. Lots of illustrations if you're reading to a child. Full page illustrations. And you can see here that this is part of the horror. This is a kind of animated corn doll who goes around murdering people, I think, which is, it kind of reminds me a bit of The Wicker Man. People from the city go to the countryside and horrible things happen, and this straw doll thing, it's a bit nasty. I don't think I'm going to bother reading the rest of these, but I got to the end and I was interested to know what was going to happen. So that is The Crystal Prison by Robin Jarvis. Next, I'm going to move on to the Gargantuan Warriors series. This is the first Warriors series, and I think there are other ones as well. The warriors in question are cats, warrior cats who live in a wood somewhere in Britain, I think. There are maps in here. I don't know if I can find one of the maps. It could be they're really based on an actual place, in which case I'd kind of like to go there and see the place almost, where all this activity happens. And there's a second map there, so you can kind of trace all the journeys of where the cats go. and there are all these different clans of cats. And our main protagonist throughout, I guess, is this chap here, Rusty, the cat who escapes from his owners and decides he wants to join the wildcats in the woods, and is welcomed into the Thunder Clan. All the cats are in different clans, 4 clans, and their mission really is to kind of fight with each other, but ideally not kill each other, which is kind of what goes on in the books. And yeah, and obviously there are some of the cats in the clan that don't want a pet cat to join the clan, and he has to prove himself. For suspension of disbelief, these books aren't too bad. The cats don't have, clothes or tools or anything very much. There's one bit near the end where some of the cats have weapons, which sort of things that doesn't really fit somehow. And there's some fairly understated magic. There's not the Shadow Clan, the Star Clan are the kind of the souls or the spirits of the cats who have died, who watch over everyone else and help cats out in sort of mysterious ways. But it's not too in your face, so that's good. And yeah, the 6 books, I've read all 6, and I thought I'd be sick of them by the end, or I thought the later ones would just kind of try and push the excitement too high. But and again, if these books were about people, I don't think I'd bother reading them. But since they're about cats, yeah, they're quite interesting. Obviously, all the cats talk. It's one of those talking cats, talking animals books. In fact, there are some dogs in there, and that is quite interestingly treated. But they don't have anything to do with people at all. It's not like Watership Down, where there's some kind of crossover with human beings and all the mythology of the rabbits. Watership Down is a good book. I do recommend that one. You can probably guess that Rusty the cat is going to gradually rise through the ranks and become more important and have adventures and things. And yeah, there are lots of adventures, and there's kind of cross clan love, a bit of a Romeo and Juliet storyline, and sort of betrayal and spying and fighting and murder and things like that. But it's not horrific, I wouldn't say. I mean, there is sad stuff when favourite cats are killed or whatever, but it's not treated in a horrific way. It's not full of blood and gore. So you're a bit safer reading this to younger children, I think. Parts of the book, or the series, it does feel like there's just too much, not exactly jeopardy, but just problems going on. You can just feel like everything's going wrong for our protagonist, Rusty. There's a villain character who's there throughout the whole book, kind of in the same way that Malfoy character in Harry Potter. He kind of tries to murder Harry somewhere in the book, and then he's back playing jokes on him in school and stuff. It doesn't really stand up perfectly. But all in all, I'd say that the Warrior series is worth reading. They're good fun. Written by Erin Hunter. And I think there's a second series after this one with the offspring of some of our heroes from these books, who go on to have more adventures in the future. And I don't know if they're any good or not, but I wouldn't mind having a go at them, possibly, if I see them cheap in a charity shop. 2 more cat books. And I've got a lot more cat books, actually. I've got, several more. There's the Varjak Paw books as well, which they're quite fun. I could recommend those. This is the Tygrine Cat, or the Tygrine Cat, by Inbari Iserles. I don't know if I pronounced that at all right. This book is about a Egyptian cat who is part of a dynasty of Egyptian cats, and somehow gets to the United Kingdom and ends up in a market where there's a gang of street cats who live there. And this cat is the last of the line of magical cats who is going to do something important, probably. But there's also some evil cats and people, I think, who want to wipe out this line of cats, and are quite irritated to find that this cat has escaped. Yeah, there's a kind of assassin cat who's going around trying to bump off our hero cat, Matty the cat. not a bad book. I'm not sure if I'm going to read it again. I don't think I will. Some of it's just a little bit silly. Again, there's some magic. There's always magic around cats. A magical tree and a kind of like a kind of prophet cat. But yes, some of it is a bit hard to stomach, really. There's a mean human market stall holder who throws things at cats who try and steal his fish, I think. And they manage to frighten him out of his home somehow, which is just... no, that's a bit silly, really. But other than that, it's an award-winning fantasy about a cat seeking his destiny. There you go. That's all I can say, really. Not the best of books. It's no Watership Down, which I think is a real classic animal book, but it's okay. And lastly, all those other books have been about talking cats with fairly human-like traits, really, kind of loyalty and betrayal and fear and bullying and all the rest. This book here is really interestingly written. White Chin by Marilyn Edwards, with illustrations by France Bourduin. I'll just check whether there's any illustrations in this one. Not really, no. Yeah, so Tygrine cat, no illustrations. This one does have some, and they're quite nice. There's a different illustration for each chapter and a few other ones as well. It's the it's the Warriors books that have like a series of these kind of illustrations, which are quite nice, but they just keep repeating through each chapter, which is not great, really. It'd be nice to have some more dramatic stuff. Lovely picture on the front, I really like that. Yeah, White Chin is very interesting because it doesn't have talking cats in. Our main character is probably a country girl, really, rather than the cat. And the author has quite a good effort at working out why the cat does what it does and what it's thinking, what its motivation is. So White Chin is dumped in the countryside by some bad people who reappear later on, actually, as doing more bad things. I think they're poaching or something on the farm. And I think they get their comeuppance, hopefully, which is good. Quite a sweet book, quite realistic. There's jeopardy, always jeopardy. There's kittens. There is one quite sad bit where a cat's badly injured. So if you are reading to a child, it's probably best to scoot ahead and make sure you don't traumatise the child too much by suddenly coming across a badly injured cat. But yeah, I think I would recommend this. Again, it's not one I'm probably not going to read again. It's got quite a lot about sort of young teenage girls, sort of interrelations, and there's an author character, an adult author character who's a bit of a kind of mentor. So yeah, it's probably more about people than about the cats, but the cat is quite a key part that makes the story happen, really. So that is my review of cat books and one mouse book. And yeah, look out for them, and if you like the sound of them, do read them. And if you've got opinions on any of these books, put them in the comments down below, and let me know if I'm totally getting the wrong idea about any of these books, or if you think they're great, or if you read them and you think they're awful, or if you've got any other ones to recommend, animal books or whatever, or any you'd like to hear reviewed. I've got a few other animal books as well, so I might try and review those in another animal special. But until then, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and see you again soon with more books. Happy reading!